Welcome to the channel, That Retired Guy. My name is Darell, and I'll be your host as we take an irreverent look at life in retirement. Now don't worry, I'm fully qualified to do a show called That Retired Guy. Why? Well, it turns out I'm retired and I'm a guy. Now it's not just a show for guys, it's for all seniors. And in this and upcoming episodes, I'm going to be shining a light on the opportunities and the challenges of life in retirement. And along the way, I'm going to share my stories. Maybe we'll have a bit of fun. Now, the kids are calling this a vlog, whatever that means. And turns out the YouTube won't even work with you unless you got like 1,000 followers. Now, I'm nearly pushing 70, and I don't think I've met 1,000 people in my whole life. So if you can give me a hand with this, find that subscribe button down there and give that a click, and I can keep on making these vlogs. Okay, where's that subscribe button? Yeah, I know what you mean. Turns out you can't just keep clicking on the TV and expect that to work. You got to find that subscribe button. Now, I don't know what to tell you, but just keep clicking on that remote until you find something that looks like a subscribe button. Give that thing a tap. Okay, so welcome aboard. Let's get on with the show. Let's rock and roll. Okay, in this episode, we're going to talk about vacation properties. We're going to talk about snowbirds. We're going to talk about what it's like to be in retirement and head south for the winter. I'm going to share a little bit about my story as well and give you some interesting facts about snowbirds. Turns out that there are 375,000 Canadians who head every year down to the southern states to avoid the Canadian winters. These are what they call the snowbirds. Now, to be fair, northern U.S. People also head down to the south, and they're called snowbirds as well. So I'll be talking just about the Canadian snowbirds in this case. 375,000. Now, where do they go? Well, 60% of the people that are buying properties and going down to the southern states are going to either Florida, Arizona, or California. Now, in recent years, actually Texas has taken over from Arizona as the second most populous Canadian snowbird state, which is very interesting. And I have a few personal experiences with Texas I can share with you. Also of interest is that there are 27,400 properties owned by Canadians in the States. This is 2018 statistics. So quite a few people own property down there. That's worth $10.5 billion of investment. Now, Canada, it turns out, is only second to China in terms of real estate investment in the States. China, I think, has $13 billion worth of investments down there. So yeah, a lot of people buying down there. Now, there are a number of issues for going down to the States as a senior for the winter, not the least of which, of course, is today's political climate and the COVID crisis that we're in right at this point. You can't even go down there. A lot of people actually were stuck down there this year and had to scramble to get back for the crisis. Anyway, ever since the political climate got worse down there, very polarized, that actually there's been a 38% drop between 2018 and 2019 in the property investment, international investment in properties in the U.S. So you can see people are starting to stay away and sell to get out of there. In fact, a lot of the friends that I have that I know, Canadians down in the South, have actually sold their properties just like I have. There's a lot of tax implications as well for owning property down there. Of course, you make capital gains on the sale of your property. You've got to pay tax on that. And, there's been a lot of complications with the Canadian dollar. Now, I was lucky when I bought the properties that I had down in the States. I was close to par on the Canadian value. And, of course, now it's down like 75 cents. So that means that there's a lot more capital gain to be declared there. And of course, it really gets complicated if you decide to rent out any of your property for a period of time down there. The tax implications, I had to do that on a property that I had down there, and you got to fill out the 1099 non-resident forms for the IRS, and very complicated. stuff. Anyway, the other thing is just even going down there as a visitor or staying at your property, you're limited to, I think it's 182 days that you can stay. Of course, if you stay any longer, you put yourself at risk of having all your U.S., in fact, all of your international income as taxed in the U.S. Of course, if you don't follow the proper procedures for staying down there longer, they can ban you from going back to your property in the States for years. I know of some people that got banned, and they were just trying to get down to their Florida condo. So 182 days. The other thing is kind of interesting is, of course, now with our government here has legalized marijuana, and if any of you seniors are looking to take advantage of those new laws, do not say anything about it when you go to the States because, of course, it's still illegal there federally. Some states allow it, but don't try and cross the U.S. border and declare that you've been smoking marijuana. Even CBD, there was a woman, I think in Ontario, who got banned for life from traveling to the States because she had a small bottle of CBD in there that she was using, of course, for aches and pains. So be careful with that. Anyway, my experience, of course, with vacation properties and travel to the States, I grew up in a vacation. My parents had a cottage that they owned at Sauble Beach. Grew up in Ontario. That's on Lake Huron. And so I was a beach bum for my early teenage years, great life. So, I bought a cottage when I came back to Ontario after many years of being out in Alberta and enjoyed that lifestyle again before retirement. In fact, my kids were brought up when I lived in Alberta out here, we bought a cottage in the Shuswaps, which is in the Rocky Mountains in BC, and they spent some time in there as well. So my whole family has a kind of a history of cottage life and that sort of thing. So it's no wonder that when retirement came along, my whole plan was how am I going to get to spend my days in the sun, my sunset days in the sun. So anyways, that's when I decided that we were going to buy a property and get a place down in the States. Did a lot of research, ended up actually picking Texas, and went to Corpus Christi, which is on the Gulf Coast there of Texas, and called a little island called Padre Island, and beautiful spot. Managed to get in there when the economy was doing very badly, and so I got good property value, and we spent quite a few years there. Texans are an amazing group of people. They're very welcoming, and they love snowbirds. In fact, they don't call them snowbirds; they call them winter Texans. So it's a nice kind of environment to spend your winters in. It's a different kind of country. Texas is a different country from even the U.S. Have very open sort of rules. You take your pickup truck, you drive it down, you can drive the beach. You pay $12 a year or something like that. You can camp, you can live on the beaches down there. Just amazing. We used to go every year to what they called the Barefoot Mardi Gras. And you park your truck down on the beach there. You sit on the tailgate, a few cold ones, and the Mardi Gras parade goes by, and it's just a great time. Great time down there. That was also my first experience with being in condos and the condo association. So probably lots of people can relate to this, but I found actually in the U.S. that condo associations can be good. They can be really bad. And the one that I got involved with was not a good one. We had part of the problem was that half of our building was sold by the developer to timeshares, and so half was privately owned and half was by timeshares. And so there was always this battle going on between the interests of the two groups. And of course, anybody that's been in timeshares knows that there's all kinds of trouble with timeshare ownership. So I can remember one meeting I actually hosted it in my condo. The timeshare people showed up with their lawyers, and they showed up with a videographer and they taped the whole meeting. It was quite an experience. So got lots of experience with condo associations. If anybody wants to ask any questions, feel free to send me an email. Anyway, we were there for a number of years. Loved Texas, but in the end we decided to move to Florida because it was much more convenient for our Ontario friends and family to come and visit. And so we got a place down in St. Petersburg. Beautiful beaches there. We were not too far away. I could drive my bike down and walk the beach, and had a beautiful number of years going down south there to do that. The Floridians are not as friendly as Texans. In fact, if you have Canadian plates on your car, you can often get the finger when you're driving down the road. I don't know why, but they don't seem to like snowbirds as much as Texans do. We did get to know lots of people, though, other snowbirds that go down there from the States. And one thing to know is that most of the people you meet down in, certainly in the southern states, are Republican, and they have a different view of the world. But I'll tell you, they're wonderful people. Got to know them, got a different take on life and politics and everything. It was quite an experience, and really enjoyed it. We ended up in the end selling, actually early 2019. We got out, I think, just in time because, I mean, America First kind of politics and that was getting less and less friendly to foreigners, to being in the States. Lots of our friends have sold, moved back up to Canada. I think it's probably the time to do that. We'll see how things go. I mean, you can't even get down there anymore with COVID and that, so it's a different world now. What we ended up doing actually was we took our money and we came out to BC and decided that, well, maybe we could spend the winters in a climate that doesn't even get much snow in Canada. And we bought a place here in White Rock, BC. Now, to be fair, we lived here once for about 5 years, many years ago, so it was a little bit like coming home. Now, BC is a beautiful province, especially here right on the ocean. It's just beautiful. The spring times and the falls, the flowers and the growth here is just amazing. We love it out here, but you know, it's a complicated thing. You think that it's all one country, Canada, but BC is very different than, say, Ontario or any other province. They are not very friendly to foreign investment. Well, they actually treat other provinces as foreigners here in BC. If you buy property, you have to pay a special tax, a speculation tax they talk about out here, which is like 1% of the total value of your house, the market value of your house, every year as a tax, just because you're not a BC resident. So, you know, it's not as friendly as you would think. It's very different as well. I mean, you want to buy a car out here, the insurance rates are very high. They have ICBC Insurance Corporation of British Columbia, very high cost insurance. The company itself is government run, loses billions of dollars every year. Not a good situation. Healthcare is different. You think it's all the same across the provinces? No, it's not. Even with COVID here, they're talking about, apparently you have to pay for vaccinations. In Ontario, you don't have to pay for vaccinations. It's all free. So, you know, things are different. But, you know, White Rock is a beautiful place to come. But, you know, with COVID and that and travel restrictions that are happening, it's just getting more and more complicated. So guess what? We're selling again. The interesting thing is that I think somebody asked me how many places we lived over the years. We've owned over 20 properties over the years, my wife and I. And this is just going to be another one that we add to the list. So coming back to Ontario, and who knows, maybe we're going to buy something else there. Anyway, this Nomad will be signing off. Hope you enjoyed the show about snowbirds and southern properties. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and come and join me for the next episode of That Retired Guy.